Yo, what's up, Facebook community? What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are having an absolute awesome day today. I want to jump right in because time is of the essence. So I want to jump right into this training. This is going to be an incredible training. And the intention here is that the number one question that I get from my clients is, what is the best marketing strategy? What should I be implementing? And depending upon how much money, what is the best use of my money? And so I wanted to jump in to be able to feed everyone my knowledge and my thoughts on the pros and cons of each marketing strategy. And so let's just list them, the ones that I'm actively doing in my market. There are others out there, but this is what I actually track myself and am an expert at because it's stuff that we use in our business. So first and foremost, I'll list them off. You have door knocking, you have bandit signs, you have direct mail, cold calling, ringless voicemail of multiple different ways, PPC, and networking. And those are the things that we do each and every day, each and every week in our business to drive leads into our funnel. And the first thing I'll say to you guys is that's where your focus needs to be. You are a marketing and sales company. You need to focus on marketing and sales. Where are you bringing in your leads? Where are you finding your homeowners so that you can buy their home? And what I'll mention to you guys very simply is going to be the quicker you change your mindset that you're in real estate and you turn into a marketing expert, the quicker you're actually going to be able to solve a lot of your issues. And so I want to just start. I wrote a bunch of notes so I can make sure that I keep on track. Otherwise, I tend to go all over. We're going to jump right into one that I believe is one of the top two ways. If I were just getting started, if I had to start all over again, it was my no money and I'm broke, busted, and disgusted again, and I want to get into this industry and I don't have a marketing budget, I'm going to focus on door knocking. And the pros to door knocking are A, it's pretty much free. You might have to print out some, hand-me-outs that you're going to be giving to people. But, between the cost of ink and cost of paper, you are basically running a free model. The next pro is why it's so important is because in marketing and in sales, you're going to convert someone at a much higher percentage face-to-face than you will over the phone, by email, by text, by direct mail. If you are face-to-face and are able to communicate with those individuals, then you're going to have a much higher percentage of converting it. Another great ability with door knocking is the opportunity that you have to potentially build a door knocking team, a bird dog team, or what we call in our business, feet on the street. And that means you don't always necessarily have to do it. You can find people to do it for you. And what they are doing is they're going out to a very specific area. Typically, it's going to be an area that there is a distressed house, and they are going to door knock that one distressed house. Well, then they're going to also be able to door knock the area, write down addresses of people that were not home, and come back to your office or go back home and skip trace those addresses and call the homeowner. Now, I'm going to get into cold calling. For me, it's one of my actual favorite. And we'll talk about that. But door knocking can lead into not only just doing it yourself, but also building a team of people doing it with you, and then taking that information and actually coming home and cold calling the owner. Now, some of the cons here is it takes time. So for those of you who are out there and, you have a job, you have a family, you have kids, I understand that. You're going to, first and foremost, you're going to have to understand to be a successful real estate investor, it's all about driving leads. So you're either going to spend your time or it's going to spend dollars. And if you are shy on the dollars part, then you will be spending your time, and you need to figure out exactly when you have more time. Maybe it's during the weekend, maybe it's at night, maybe it's in the morning, but I'd really encourage you to, find time to be door knocking. So it does take time. And quite honestly, if you're going to door knock, you need to be hitting 50 doors at a time. So it could be taking a decent amount of time. And lastly, honestly, you're going to be finding people who are unhappy that you're door knocking them, right? They're going to feel like you're soliciting them. you're really just out there saying, hey, I'm looking to buy a home in the area. If you are open, I'd love to talk to you further. If not, no harm, no foul. But you're going to find people who slam door in your face. And so that can be a little tough for some people, and I understand that. But again, if you don't have the money, you really got to focus on stuff that you can get in front of more homeowners, and door knocking is a great opportunity. Those are the pros and cons for door knocking. If you guys are looking, one of the things I want to mention here is if you guys are looking to speak further with me about what it would take to know more about this information, go ahead and in the messages, type the word in grow. We are putting together a training to know more about marketing and conversion. And so in the messages here, in the comments, type the word in grow. I'll send you a direct message and potentially jump on a phone with you, on a phone call with you live, so we can actually talk even further about your business. The next marketing strategy I'm going to talk to is bandit signs. And the reason why I kind of have a smirk on my face about bandit signs is because about a year and a half ago, if you were to tell me that bandit signs even work anymore, I would call you crazy. And then about a year and a half ago, I met a couple out of Houston who's in our mastermind, and they are crushing it with bandit signs. One of the biggest pros about bandit signs is it is relatively inexpensive. And I say relatively because depends how many you're putting out, and the cost per sign, and if you're hiring someone to do it versus doing it yourself. But if you say you're going to do it yourself, then it can be relatively inexpensive to put out 100 bandit signs a week. The next pro to bandit signs is it's very trackable, because you're going to be able to put a phone number on there, whether you use Ring Central or you use CallRail, that you can track where that lead came from. So that is a huge, huge pro. And then lastly, if you're putting it and setting it out in the right area, this can be something that you can have thousands and thousands of eyes on, right? By just one sign, depending upon the traffic that is driving by your one sign. Now, conversely, the con to this is they can be taken down. A lot of, they're not usually the police departments, but a lot of the city ordinances will take them down. They potentially even will cite you for having bandit signs up, meaning if you have bandit signs up and they get a hold of you, they potentially will give you a fine. So there are fines depending upon where you put those bandit signs. Now, I've now been running bandit signs for a year. I have not been fined. I can't speak to that, but I know people who have been fined, and no one likes being fined. Let's call it what it is. So they also get taken down. And it takes time. If you were going to do it yourself, I'd really encourage you to do it on Friday nights, so that you can go through the weekend, so the city ordinance people don't go ahead and take it down, right? And that's really going to be important. So I like bandit signs, relatively inexpensive. The downside here is they get taken down. You can get cited, and it does take your time to put them out. Now I'm going to go to, and then the last thing, what I didn't mention here, and thank God I have my notes here, is a huge pro of bandit signs is they tend to be extremely motivated. Think about the psychology of what someone's doing when they see a bandit sign and actually call. I don't know if you have ever seen anyone on this training. I don't know if you've ever seen a bandit sign called it, but usually there's a motivation of why you're calling it. So when your phone does ring from a bandit sign, more often than not, you're going to find someone who has high motivation, which is really what we're looking for. We want as many highly motivated people as we possibly can get. So you're typically going to find highly motivated people with bandit signs. Direct mail is one of the subjects I've been training on for the last 10 years. It's something that we do every single month. And there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to it. I'm going to start with your pros on direct mail. I know many of you have seen trainings on direct mail. Maybe you direct mail yourself. This video, this training itself should be for the newbie or even someone who's doing 100 grand a month, because these are all marketing strategies that we are actively using in our business and we have been using since the beginning. Direct mail is one of those strategies that we've been using since the beginning of our wholesale career. One of the best parts about the direct mail is they also tend to be motivated. Think about the psychology that you have to receive a piece of mail and actually then go back and call the person that sent you that piece of mail. I don't know how many people have ever done it. I can tell you I have never. The only type of mail that I actually call back tends to be like a credit card offer where I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's a lot of points I can get. I'll call that credit card company and I'll apply for it. That's probably it. So think about them opening your mail that says, I would like to buy your home. Are you interested in selling? If they call you back, there's a level of motivation somewhere. Now, they may not be realistic in the price they want. They might not want to sell for years, and there's all these other variables, but the motivation for the most part is there. It's very, very trackable. Again, depending upon the list that you're sending to, you can simply connect a phone number from RingCentral or CallRail to that list. And so if you're using multiple lists and going after different types of properties, or maybe you have some distress lists, you can actually see what list performs better and where you should be spending your money, because some lists might perform great, some might perform terrible. But because you're able to track that, you would very quickly stop sending mail to your list that performs terrible, and you'd very quickly move that money over to the list that performs better. The downside of direct mail is it is expensive to do any type of volume. And the next part of the downside is the callback percentages have been decreasing over the last year and a half to 2 years. We used to be very steadily at a 1% callback ratio. That is no longer the case here in Phoenix. We're at a 0.003% callback ratio. So if you just simply do the math, for every 1,000 mailers, right, 1% would be 10. Half of that would be 5. Half of that is basically I would be getting 3 calls, 2.5 calls for every 1,000 mailers that go out. Well, 2.5 calls is fine, but we tend to need about 20 calls to get a deal. So that means you got to multiply that times 10. So if you don't have a budget to send out 10,000 mail pieces, this might be a tough marketing strategy for you. Right now, these are my numbers in Phoenix, so I don't want to dissuade you from doing direct mail. This is still one of my favorite marketing strategies. It's something I still use today. We spend a lot of money on direct mail. So I don't want to dissuade you. I just want you to understand this might be for those listening or watching this training that you have a marketing budget and you know how to convert deals. Because the next conversation, the next step of all of this marketing talk is being able to convert the deals that you have. For those of you who just jumped on, remember, type the word in grow into the comments. I will then personally send you a direct message to see if we can jump on a one-on-one call to continue these conversations, see if I can help you in your business. Just type the word in grow, and I will start reaching out to you directly for that. The next one that I'm going to mention here is right now my favorite strategy. It is cold calling. We have built a floor of 12 cold callers here in Phoenix. What I like about it is we're being proactive. The pro to this is we are being proactive. Direct mail is reactive, right? We send out the direct mail and we cross our fingers. Well, we're being reactive. We're waiting for them to actually, contact us. Where cold calling, we're actually going after them. We're actually going in there and saying, hey, I'm an investor. I want to buy a home in the neighborhood. Are you interested in selling? So we're being proactive, which is great. We get in front of a ton of people. We make 6,000 calls a day. 6,000. Now we had 12 people calling, but 6,000 calls is a ton of calls, and it gives us a huge opportunity to hit a home run. This is a law of averages game. If you're in marketing, you're in law of averages. So this gives us an incredible opportunity to really find the big, motivated seller has to sell right now, and we can get a great discount on those, right? So we can pick the low-hanging fruit. Now, part of the cons is the way I built my business. It can be expensive, right? I'm paying them $10 an hour now, and they get a percentage of the profit. Now, if you don't have $10 an hour to pay 12 people, that can add up very, very quickly. You also can find people to hire. Now, the reason why I like cold calling is I got into the business this way. I would cold call 100 realtors a day, every single day for 9 straight months until we got our first deal. From there, we were able to start, networking and things of that nature, but it was how I got my first deal. I would do it every single day. I would be very regimented on it. So for those of you who don't have money, this is a great opportunity, just like door knocking. For those of you just starting out, this is a great opportunity, just like door knocking, for you to be able to actually, get in the game, contact a lot of people, be in front of a lot of people, and give yourself a fighting chance to get a deal, right? Another con that I'll bring up here is for those of you who are already in the game and already are, crushing it with, let's say, direct mail, cold calling leads are a completely different lead type, completely different. So if you're handling them the same, you're immediately going to say, Justin, you're crazy. Cold calling doesn't work. I can't get a deal. That's what you're going to do because the lead has a long tail, meaning because you're proactive and you're going out and calling the lead, they weren't necessarily expecting your call. You're going to have to build rapport. You're going to have to build some relationship with these individuals and really go through my 5-step sales process, really of, removing the layers of that onion to get to where their motivation is. What are their needs? What are their values? What are their motivations so that you can solve those issues? So it has a long tail. A lead that comes through here typically is not going to be able to, typically is not going to close in like 7 days. It has a much longer tail, so you have to work those leads much, much longer. But that being said, even if I were just doing it myself and I was a solopreneur again, and I was the only person in the business and I didn't have any money, you could contact 500 to 700 people a day, every day. Think about that. So 500 times 5 days, that's 2,500 people you're reaching out to a week. So it is right now, for sure, 100% my favorite marketing strategy because it's inexpensive if you build it one way. It can be more expensive if you build it another way, but it gets you in front of a ton of people. Remember, if you want to have a call with me, type the word in grow into the comments, and I will send you a direct message to line up that call. It'll be a one-on-one call with me personally. So the next one I'm going to talk about is ringless voicemail. And this is kind of a hot topic right now. My business partner, Sean, has been talking all about his RVM, which has been awesome. And there are other opportunities out there, but it is one that, again, the same reason why I love cold calling is because you can reach the masses and you can set it up, ringless voicemail, you can set up for time of day that the voicemail drops will be there. If you don't know what ringless voicemail is, it is when you set up a call to go out to someone's cell phone. And if you've ever received this, right, where your cell phone, all of a sudden you have like a missed call and you're like, my phone didn't ring. That's a ringless voicemail. So you can set that up where you are able to actually send those out. The voicemail would say, hey, my name's Justin. I'm looking to buy a home. If you're interested, give me a call back at this number. And if I'm not there, just leave a message. Well, when they call back in, it drives them to another voicemail saying, hey, thanks so much. Sorry, I couldn't answer. Please leave your name, your number, and the address you're looking to sell. I'm happy to give you a call back. Now, there's a lot of pros to being able to set that up timely. It is very, very inexpensive when you look at the cost of direct mail or PPC, which we will get to. But you have the ability to set this up, and it can go for time, and you have a huge net. You can send out thousands and thousands at a time. The cons to this are going to be they don't have any idea why you're calling. They may not leave you a voicemail back. You get angry people saying, how did you get my number? And why did you leave me a message? What did you call about? And in terms of a business, there's kind of an extra step to the sales process where now we have to go in, listen to the voicemails, and then call them back and then deal with whether they even understood what we were saying. So pros, it's very cheap. You can cast a wide net. Thousands and thousands and thousands can go out in a very day. It's very cheap. And then you don't need to have, a big cold calling floor to do this. It can just go out yourself, and you can schedule a time so you can kind of understand when those calls are going to come back to you. So another great strategy. Another strategy that I have now, again, jumped into pretty heavily, as a matter of fact, is pay-per-click advertising. Now, pay-per-click advertising are the ads on Google or Bing that you see, right? And, bunch of companies do it. It's not only for real estate investing, but, we will buy your home for cash, buy home fast now. You create keywords that when people type into Google, your ad will be at the top, right? Now, what I'll tell you is the leads are super hot, which is a pro. I mean, literally, if they call, you need to answer your phone, because if you don't answer, the next person will. They are super, super hot, motivated leads, which is such a big pro and such a huge advantage for us right now that we love the PPC model. They are so motivated and so hot. The downside of that, it is competitive. And in certain markets, and I can't speak to everyone on this call, in certain markets, it's actually going to be very expensive to run PPC. And there's no exact science to it yet. You have to go through trial and error. And I would make the argument, you're not really going to see any type of qualifying response, meaning you're not going to have something to look at and analyze for at least 90 days. You have to jump into the PPC game for at least 90 days before you can make a decision of whether it's working for you or whether it's not working for you. But you have to give it at very minimum 90 days. I would really urge you to give it 6 months. So the pro to PPC, very motivated, very hot lead. The downside is you got to give it, 3 months to 6 months at least, and it can be very competitive, which is going to spike your prices. And lastly, again, this goes for the newbie and the experienced vet. You need to be networking at all times. It is free. If you are not hitting meetup groups, if you're not hitting RIA meetings, if you're not calling realtors and meeting them for coffee, if you're not networking with other investors, you're just simply missing the boat. I still, to this day, the primary thing I do in our business are meetings and networking and creating opportunity. That is my primary role in our business today. And so if you are just getting started and you're trying to figure out how to do this with little to no capital, you need to spend a ton of time networking with other investors, networking with realtors, networking at meetup groups. I mean, literally, the argument could be made that you need to be at a meetup group every night of the week, potentially multiple, depending upon how many are in your city, because that's how valuable it is. And you can put deals together in those rooms. The con to that is it takes time. I get it. You guys have families, you guys have lives, and the argument always is, what's more important? And the most important thing is your family. And I do understand it. But when you're in build mode, you're building a business that also is going to be your baby. And you got to treat it that way. And truthfully, you got to be really consistent. That's another con. If you just haphazardly just jump into random meetup groups and no one gets to know your name really, and you're not very outgoing, it's not going to work, right? So you have to be consistent. You have to do it and be outgoing. You have to engage with these individuals, and you have to take the time to do it. And those are the primary marketing strategies that we do, that we focus on. And the next phase of all of that is then converting the leads. And then I can do a training on converting leads. But if you like what we're talking about now, first of all, type the wording GROW in the comments. I'm happy to send you a direct message and line up a call personally between you and me that we can talk about how I can help you further. If you're interested beyond that, Sean, Terry, myself, and Kent Clothier are putting together a 2-day boot camp here in Phoenix on the 19th and 20th of this month of June here in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you're interested in that, we will put a link also in this for you to fill out an application. It's going to be a very small group. You will have to be invited. It will not be for everybody. But if you're interested in being there and sitting down with about 15 people and myself and Sean Terry and Kent Clothier, click the link that it will be in the comment area, and I personally will jump on a call with you to talk about it, because you're going to have to fill out an application and I will have a call. So throw the word grow in. I will personally reach out to you and have a conversation. If you're interested in being in that 2-day training, the 2-day boot camp where myself, Sean Terry, and Kent Clothier will be at here in Phoenix, the 19th and 20th. Click the link in the comments and fill out the application, and we will see you guys then. I hope this training was helpful for you guys. This is basically the number one question I get at all times, whether it's the masterminds I run or my clients, is what marketing strategy. Hopefully this was good. I'm going to sign out now. I'll holler at you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Peace.